Our area's most beautiful properties deserve the finest realtors. Meeks Realty Group. We focus on buying and selling residential and commercial properties throughout the tri-state area. Contact Meeks Realty Group online at meeks.us or call 304-440-1101.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 580 WCHS, its employees, or WVRC Media. From the studios of WVRC Media, the country, the United States of America, the state, West Virginia, the city, Charleston. This is the Dave Allen Show on 580 Live. And your host.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
He's kind of a big deal.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Dave Allen.
And a good Wednesday morning to you. Welcome to the show. Ryan Nicholson is our producer today. Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show and 580 Live comes to you from the Par-Mar Store studio. If there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon. Par-Mar welcomes everyone into town for the 2024 State Boys Basketball Tournament. Day 2 today at the Coliseum and Convention Center. Par-Mar, of course, the official store of high school sports in West Virginia and of Marshall University. And also want to mention this, Par-Mar store, which is just off the St. Albans exit of I-64. The one had been closed because of repairs when somebody apparently tried to make it a drive-through a couple of months ago, is set to reopen this Friday. It's the one known as the Scary Creek location. So I might check it out on Friday, and if there's not a Par-Mar store near you now, there will be soon. And we're also brought to you by Thornhill Auto Group, including Thornhill Toyota. The Toyota National Sales Event going on now. Come check out the 2024 Camry, Corolla, the all-new Crown, or the new 2024 RAV4 Highlander Gas. Qualified buyers can get 3.99% APR for up to 60 months. See them for all the details. Visit them on the Thornhill Motor Mile, US 119 to Chapmanville, or online, thornhilltoyotawv.com. Toyota, let's go places. Coming up on the show a little bit later on, as I mentioned, it is day 2 of the State Boys Basketball Tournament at the Coliseum Convention Center. We'll talk about that just a little bit. Plus, Republican strategist Greg Thomas will be stopping by as well. Always interesting to get Mr. Thomas's take on things. Always interested in talking to this person, too. It's our good friend from Bridge Valley, Dr. Casey Sachs. Dr. Sachs, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Dave. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for being here. You're here via the Bigly, Piggly, Wiggly hotline this morning. You guys just did something on Monday, aptly named. It's called Meet the Majors Monday. Now, as I understand this, each week you take to your social media and whatnot, and you talk about some of the majors that you offer at Bridge Valley. So let's get into some of those different majors that are offered, just a few.
Great. Yes, so we try really hard to help people in the community understand some of the offerings that are available here at Bridge Valley. On Monday, we focused on highway engineering technology. It's actually a really cool program. The Department of Transportation started it with us. So when people are interested in working on highways, bridge maintenance, all kinds of repair, they go through our program. And most of the employees from the Department of Transportation are actually who are in the program, although anyone is welcome. And that's what we focus on. How do we fix highways?
And there's a lot of that is going on around the state and a lot that needs to be done. And you travel a lot around the state, as do I. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about, Doctor.
That's true. I mean, we all hate those potholes. And this is a really dedicated group who are thinking about the civil engineering that really goes behind road maintenance and construction so that we can have great roads and do those improvement projects.
Well, and it's one of those things that we talk about AI all the time. I don't know that is going to be replaced by AI. There's always going to be potholes, and there's always going to be drivers that complain about them, like you, like me. So this is something that's always going to be needed. It's almost like guaranteed jobs, I would think.
That's a great point. Even if Google is driving your car, it's still a car on a road.
Somebody's going to be complaining about it. I don't
know.
Now, you have a big Founders Day gala coming up, and I understand you were telling me that that's sold out now.
It is. We're so excited. It's the first time we've ever done something like this before, and it's our 10-year anniversary. We're having a big celebration at the Clay Center, and we're sold out. So we're thrilled. Thank you to the community for all the support and outpouring. It should be a really fun night.
Yes, I'm sure it will be. And I've also noticed that you guys have been taking the show on the road lately. I saw where you were in Oak Hill last week. Talk about the importance of taking the message and the mission of Bridge Valley out to the people, so to speak?
So my team is incredible. They're really committed to getting out to businesses and to schools as our main way of just getting the message out. So the same way you mentioned we talk about our majors, we want to do that face-to-face, that we found the best way really to get the message out is to talk to potential students and to their families and to really help people understand what are the jobs that could be available if they take advantage of these opportunities. And so you're exactly right. Last week we had a team out at Oak Hill. Sometimes we take students with us. Sometimes we take employers with us. The FAME partnership has been amazing at that. The employers from we've talked about FAME before, the Federation for Advanced Manufacturing Education. Both Toyota and Nucor frequently send staff out to schools and to companies to help tell people about advanced manufacturing technology, but we try and do it for all of our programs. You think you might want to be an accountant. Let's get you to talk to somebody who's in accounting so that we can really help you understand the value of the program here at Bridge Valley.
Dr. Casey Sachs of Bridge Valley this morning. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live is brought to you in part by Hudson's Pizza. Get an 18-inch pepperoni pizza and a pizza bowl, only $22.99. Find your nearest Hudson's at Hudson'sPizza.com for delivery, pickup, or for dine-in. Along those same lines, Dr. Sachs, I want to talk about outreach that you do with high schools. Now, I know frequently you'll host high school students on campus for various activities, giving them an opportunity to get to know Bridge Valley a little bit better. How do those generally go?
We love having high school students. Anything that we can do to help people really understand what is that outreach, what does it look like on campus. We frequently host groups here on campus. So one of the things that students particularly like is the new nursing wing. They can go in and see the mannequins and some of the simulations. We have one mannequin that can give birth. It really looks like a hospital wing, so bringing in groups of students to see what an authentic learning environment this is has been a really great strategy. And high school counselors frequently like to bring groups of students here on field trips because it's a good way to help students think about college and think about their future, and you don't have to travel hours and hours away to be able to do that.
Any chance you could bring that mannequin that can actually give birth into the studio next time you're here? Because Ryan and I want to see that.
Oh, you can come visit, Dave. She's really gross.
Well, I guess the whole childbirth thing is I guess, but that's beside the point. You recently did a transfer fair. What is that?
So we have some really terrific articulation agreements with various four-year institutions in the area and across the state. And so we try and bring those groups in to really talk to students. So we set up our main atrium as a fair environment and advertise to students to help them know, if you're thinking you want to transfer to Marshall or to WVU or to state, come here and talk to somebody from one of those institutions and to really get an idea of, gosh, if I'm in the highway engineering technology program right now and I might want to study to complete a bachelor's degree online, who has that? How do I get in? What is it that I need to do? And so having those transfer fairs provides all of those people in the same space at the same time, so it makes it easier for students to talk about their options and think about what they might want to do next.
I want to close by talking about the acronym, if you will, that probably puts fear into the hearts of parents and grandparents and students, and that is FAFSA.
Yeah.
What exactly? I mean, we hear this term in the news, and I'm not so sure it was such the big thing back when I was in college 100 years ago that it is now. But explain what FAFSA is and what's all the, I don't want to say controversy, but what are all the issues with FAFSA going on right now? And third part is, what's Bridge Valley doing to kind of help out?
So the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's the federal paperwork that students and families fill out to get access to federal funds that help you pay for college. Interestingly, it went through a simplification process. The federal government tried to make the form easier. And so what you've been hearing about in the news is that the form isn't easier. In changing it, it's changed all of the kind of backside coding, the information that goes from the federal government to schools about how much money students should be getting. And I don't think the federal government appreciated what a big lift changing the form was going to be and the impact that would have on families. And so the IT side of it has broken several times. They've had to do revisions. It's not been a smooth rollout. And so what you're hearing in the news is that families are really frustrated because you'll get on that federal website to try and fill out the form, and it's it was frustrating for me when I was a student because my parents didn't go to college and we didn't know how to fill out that form. And so it felt a little scary anyway because it's about money and it helps you figure out how much you're going to be able to afford to go to college. And so it already is kind of scary. And then to have the website break and to have it not work right, it's just very frustrating. So that's what you've been hearing about.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to say, because I've seen a simple scroll through social media of parents and grandparents saying that they're just, almost literally pulling their hair out over this thing, and I just didn't know exactly what that was all about. But you do offer help in that department.
So we offer help, and so I think that part's really important. But we're also your most affordable option for higher education. And so if families are frustrated and thinking, gosh, I don't know what we'll do for the fall, because the FAFSA lets you gauge how much federal support and how much loan support you'll get to be able to go to school. If you're thinking, gosh, I don't know, please don't give up. Come to Bridge Valley for a year and then transfer. We just talked about the transfer fair. We truly are the most affordable option in the area. And it's a great opportunity to come here and then go to Marshall, or come here and go to State, or go to WVU. We have transfer agreements with all of them. And so rather than continuing to pull your hair out, take a deep breath and just say, I know my kid can live at home for a year, and they'll go to Bridge Valley, and then we'll transfer the credits, and it's going to be okay.
All right, Dr. Sachs, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. We will talk again soon. Thanks a lot.
Great to hear from you, Dave.
Yeah, as always. Dr. Sachs of Bridge Valley College. I always appreciate talking to her. And if you need more information about anything, just visit their website, bridgevalley.edu, for more information. And then they get into slashes, because there's all kinds of different apprenticeships and majors, and bridgevalley.edu if you need more information there. Bigley, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruth Pharmacy text is 304-935-5008. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by Meeks Realty Group, where trust and efficiency are the cornerstones of their service. Meeks offers years of experience in both residential and commercial real estate, with results that will exceed your expectations. At Meeks, it's about more than the agreement. Your real estate transaction is a part of your dreams and goals. When you go with Meeks, you're not just getting real estate expertise, you're getting a partner that you can rely on for a lifetime of successful investments. Give them a call, 304-440-1101, or visit Meeks.us. It is day 2 of the boys' state high school basketball tournament over at the Coliseum and Convention Center. Action getting underway now. And again, you can catch the daytime action on Charleston's ESPN Radio, 106.7 FM, 1490 AM. And you can listen in at WVMetroNews.com. Evening sessions, of course, can be heard on the WCHS network and at the website, WVMetroNews.com. Not a good night for my alma mater, Logan Wildcats, last night. They fell pretty hard in their tournament game last night. But best of luck to all of the teams, area and out of the area, and have a great tournament. Certainly it's a great event for the Charleston area. Bigley, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruth Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. We'll take a break. Greg Thomas is here right after this. From the Par-Mar Store studio, we're back on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Are you looking for a technical job in the medical field? Generations is growing and looking to add on job-trained physical therapy techs to our rehab team. To apply, visit one of our 7 convenient locations, or simply click on us at generationspt.com.
Hi, I'm David McCormick, owner of Omega Commercial Interiors. We'd like to thank you, West Virginia, for making us the #1 office furniture and commercial interiors company in West Virginia. Remember, when you're looking for quality office furniture and space planning for healthcare, corporate offices, or even a private office, call us and buy local. Omega Commercial Interiors. We're a proud West Virginia company. Visit us online at omegacommercialinteriors.com in Morgantown and Charleston.
Thrive with 5 at the best community bank in the Kanawha Valley, Poca Valley Bank. Poca Valley Bank is now offering a certificate of deposit special, 10-month APY, annual percentage yield 5%. Take advantage of this great rate to grow your savings. For more information, stop by a Poca Valley Bank location today or call 844-782-2651. Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter. Certain terms and conditions apply. Rates based on minimum annual percentage yield. Subject to change without notice. Minimum deposit required of $10,000 of new money not currently on deposit with Poca Valley Bank to receive APY. Member FDIC.
Buckle up. Adventure will never be the same on the Thornhill Motor Mile. Ready, set, go. Hey, it's Sydney inviting you to the new Thornhill Toyota for our amazing deals during the Toyota National Sales Event. Just imagine you in a new 2024 Toyota Camry, Corolla, or all-new Crown. Or step up with a Toyota SUV like a new 2024 RAV4 or Highlander Gas, where you can enjoy 3.99% financing for 60 months. So many possibilities. Ready, set, go to the new Thornhill Toyota on the Thornhill Motor Mile, US 119 in Chapmanville. Click or come by ThornhillToyotaWV.com and let's go places. Must qualify for all offers through Toyota Financial expires April 1st, 2024. Shop Thornhill to get yours.
High school boys tournament on 1490 WSWW this week on 580 tonight. The boys tournament continues at 5 with Championship Saturday on your voice of high school sports, 580 WCHS.
It is 9:22. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, presented part by Pinnacle Consultants. Whether you're replacing a roof, remodeling the kitchen, replacing a bathroom, keep it safe and keep it legal with the folks at Pinnacle Consultants. They are the only accredited commercial lab in the state for asbestos and mold. Visit pinnaclecorp.net because what you don't know can hurt you. Bigley, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. Hoppy coming up at 10:06 this morning from the Encova Studios in the Dale Miller Building in Morgantown. Hoppy's guests will include delegate and head of the State Democratic Party in West Virginia, Mike Pushkin. Brian Dayton from the Chamber of Commerce will be on the show today. There'll be some talk about the state of the Mountaineer basketball program and Mountaineer sports in general with Ken Kendrick. He's a native of Princeton. Fascinating guy. I love when he's on the show. He is one of the principal partners of the Arizona Diamondbacks of Major League Baseball, but he's also still closely tied to WVU sports, including Country Roads Trust, and that's coming up at 10:06 with Hoppy Kirchville. Now, tomorrow's show, on this show, the mayor of the town of Bell, David Fletcher, is going to be stopping by. In addition to getting us caught up with what's going on in the town there's going to be a candidates forum held over there, and we're going to let him talk about that. Also, Delegate J.B. Akers will be stopping by the show tomorrow as well. Bigley, Piggly, Wiggly hotline 304-345-5858. Fruit Pharmacy text 304-935-5008. Republican strategist Greg Thomas is here. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Dave. How are you?
Doing fine, man. Did you catch the whirlwind of the show I had with Rob Cornelius yesterday?
Not all of it, but parts of it, yes.
So you guys like friends, hang out together?
Rob and I have been friends since 2002. Wow. Worked on some stuff together and just always been buddies. And, yeah, man, he's a super smart guy. He's super funny.
He's an interesting fellow. He's a radio guy, so he's got that going for him. As a matter of fact, he was heading up to cover the MAC tournament up in Cleveland for Ohio University.
Yeah, he does. He's like the color guy for
he's just all over the
Ohio
place,
University.
Man. It's like I like him, but I like you because you're calm.
Most of the time. Not all the time, but
not all the time. All right, so let's get to it, Greg. The legislative session wrapped up Saturday night. We'll get into some specifics a little bit later on. But overall thoughts, if you had to give it a letter grade, Gregory, what would it be?
I'd say a C. It started out it was probably less than a C, and I think they kind of saved it at the end to get a handful of things done. We talked about this last time. It was just a really tough year. I mean, you had from the governor to attorney general and treasurer and all the judiciary chairs, and everybody was running for something else. And not that I think that they were, some people were probably doing things to help their campaigns. I think a lot of it was just they just weren't as focused on what needed to be done.
But doesn't that normally happen during a campaign year? To a certain extent,
but not to this degree. I mean, okay. I think you almost always have it. But look, we've had other campaign years before since the Republicans took over, and they weren't this bad. I think this was there was a ton of that. We sort of were at the end of the checklist of really big. Up until this year, we had been the most conservative legislature in the country. This session here, I think if you probably average them all out, we still are. But this year here was definitely not a very conservative session.
Really?
I don't think so. I mean, not the things that passed. Not the things that passed. I mean, government pay raise. What's conservative about that? The conservative things we did get done were really watered down. So it wasn't. But again, that's why I say a C. I mean, I just don't think it's not an F where it's like, oh my gosh, we got to go elect all new people. It's not a D. A D's like just really, really poor. This was like some stuff we're done, but it's definitely not an A. And definitely, to me, it's just kind of like, all right, we didn't do a lot of harm. We did a little bit of good. I'm hopeful that, we don't have sessions like this very often.
Were you surprised, Greg, that some of these, and again, the sexy stuff is what makes the news. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, the majority of things that are passed out of the legislature are bipartisan, but a lot of that doesn't get talked about because it's not clickbait. It's not what people want to talk about, budgets and things of that nature. But what got a lot of the attention was Women's Bill of Rights, or whatever they called it, the Library Obscenity Bill, and all
and almost none of that stuff passed.
None of that stuff passed.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about last time. We really need an organized social conservative organization in West Virginia, because I think if you would have gone and grabbed like 3 of those things and written real bills and found out like what other states did and done that professionally, you would have passed those 3 bills. The problem was there weren't 3 of them. There were 50 of them. And they were ham-handed. There was not much thought put into them. It was just, everybody had an idea. Somebody had been watching Fox News and came up with an idea and wrote it down on a napkin and took it down to bill drafting. And a bill came up and we debated it. And all those bills made it out of House Judiciary. And then after it got out of there, everybody looked at it and was like, what is this? What is this even supposed to do? Why are we doing this?
I was talking to a legislator who shall remain nameless earlier this morning, and he told me, he said, look, we know a lot of these things aren't going to pass, but we just like it to be seen that we're working on it.
I guess that's just people that aren't used to getting things done in their life. Like who would do that? Who would just spin wheels? I mean, you have 60 days. Exactly. Have an agenda, have something you want to do, go get it done. I mean, we had done that we've done that in previous sessions. I mean, why do that now?
Do you think the session's too long?
No. I tell you what, there's some states that do it where they do a 90-day session, 60 or 90 days 1 year, and then the next year they only do a 30-day session just focused on a 2-year budget. And I would really like that.
And really, as best I understand it, Greg, all they're required to do is get the budget.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have to do anything else.
Well, that I would have given that a B.
The budget, you mean?
I mean, no. If we would have just done the budget.
Just done the budget,
okay. If we had just done the budget, I'd have given that a B rather than the C work that they did. But look, the unemployment thing is good. It's more of a re-employment now rather than just unemployment. I mean, we have to decide what we want to be as a state. We're going to be the kind of place where people come and work, and it's an environment where people come and can have careers and have real jobs and be able to provide for their families, or do we want to go back to yesteryear and be the kind of place that says, hey, we'll take care of you, we'll give you a very minor subsistence living and you don't have to do anything? And I think that the reemployment bill gets toward that. We had fixes with Brim. We passed some legal reform stuff that was good. They eliminated the tax on Social Security. There was some prescription drug stuff with PEIA that was good. So gun parts are no longer taxed. I mean, I don't know if you knew about that or not.
Gun parts.
Apparently, we were already not taxing guns, but for the people that assemble their own, AR-15s and stuff, their parts were taxed. So that's no longer taxed. There were 2 amendments. Actually, you and I talked about this before. But, there were 2 amendments to put an amendment on the ballot. There were 2 bills to put an amendment, 2 resolutions to put an amendment on the ballot. One of them made it through, which was the euthanasia one. The one that didn't was the one that I was associated with, the one about the non-citizen voting bill, which was a group that we had worked with and brought in here. It was actually the thing that was being debated at midnight, and it just sort of run out of time.
Right. Clock ran out.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll be. I think that's an.
Because we had a
Charlie
spokesperson for the national organization.
Yeah, from the national organization was in, and we had almost overwhelming support for it. It was just one of those things that gets caught up. There was sort of a clerical error at the end, and caused it to sort of come up last minute. But we're pretty hopeful that that's going to be on the May special session call. And look, some of these other things that were brought up that ran out of time, given that they're going to have to come back and deal with sort of the supplemental budget, I think the May special session call could actually be kind of interesting. I think there could be some important things on there. 29 minutes
away from 10. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you in part by General Hardware of Winfield and Milton and General Lumber of Winfield. Whether you're getting ready for a big project for the warm weather months or whatever you need, they can help. Locally owned and operated, General Hardware and General Lumber. Visit generalhardwarewv.com. Has too much been made of potential divisions within the Republican Party? Because here's what I didn't spend a whole lot of time at the Capitol this year, but for what I in talking to people that were there and talking to people kind of off the record, I heard a lot of, well, the House and the Senate just don't get along, and there was some rumbling about the House Speaker Hanshaw spending too much time talking to the to Democrats, which I think that's what you're supposed to do. Is you're supposed to kind of work these things out. But we have a lot of people with this mindset that if you're talking with the other side, you're the enemy. So that's something we got to get by. But do you think there's too much made of divisions within the Republican Party?
There obviously is some division. I just think the people that are being divisive there's not that many of them. They're just very vocal, right? They're the ones that always run to Facebook. They're the ones that, go on the podcasts and talk all the time. So I think I definitely think there are divisions. As there would be when you have these mega majorities that we have. Mm-hmm. I just think it seems worse than it is because there are so many. There are the ones that are being divisive are just very loud, and so look, I think some of those people are going to will lose their elections, right? Because some of them, they're not up there to pass bills, man. They're really just up there to get attention, and I think maybe the other people that sort of are on those Facebook pages like that. But if you're, in Upshur County, how can you possibly want Robert Karnes to be your senator, right? I mean, he's not on it, he's been taken off of the committees. Every bill that he would bring up would fail. He's never really passed anything ever. Like, if you're from there, why would you want that to be your senator? And so I think there's a couple people on the House side like that too. I think that Henry Dillon dude from Wayne County is probably in that situation, and a few others. But there is division. It's just you've just got some really vocal people that honestly aren't trying to pass bills. Everybody does that for a different reason, right? I mean, there's 134 people, so there's 134 different reasons why you run for legislature, but you're always going to have a handful that just want to be heard. Some people like the sound of their voice more than others.
That's very true.
And so, and look, and as you know, I mean, I do a lot of candidate recruitment in the state. I probably do more than almost anybody else, and so, I'm just sensitive to that, and I know it when I'm sitting there talking to somebody. And I'm always a little hesitant if somebody's just like, you can tell too, right? I mean, it's not like they're not even really trying to hide it. It's just like, I want to say this or I want to do that. I'd rather have somebody say, I want to make sure I'm heard, or I'd rather have somebody say, I want to make sure this gets done, rather than I want to make sure I'm heard. And we have a handful of people that just want to be heard.
And it says something to where we are as a society. We're not going to play amateur psychologist, but everybody's got social media, and everybody's a star, and everybody's an influencer. Yeah. And there's certain people that in the legislature, and there are some, I'm sure, of the few Democrats that are there, there's probably a few on that side too, that it's all about them and it's not about the greater good. Text says the session needed the presence of a governor who's not scared to veto the dumber bills. Instead, we got an absentee governor campaigning for U.S. Senate.
Well, look, anytime I wouldn't use the word absentee. I mean, it's obviously, you sort of are in a lame duck situation, though, when you're only have so much time left. You're running for something else. That's just sort of, he's term limited, though, right? I mean, it's not something he could just say, I'm going to run again. So it was kind of a decision that was made for him. So look, I think he wasn't. He certainly had an agenda, though, right? I mean, he had an agenda. I mean, the governor's the one that was really pushing the pay raises. The governor was the one pushing that Social Security tax that got taken care of. So, I mean, I think he had a decent session. But he
wasn't there.
I do think there's a lot of people. He does. You don't really have to be there. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have, his role.
But shouldn't you be, Greg? I mean, come on. I mean, shouldn't the governor, whoever it is, be there? Be there walking around and something.
I tell you what. How about this? We're going to have a new governor next time.
Yes.
And I'll come in like 2 weeks after the session starts, and we'll talk about whether we think it's a good thing the governor's actually there or not. How about that?
I think it depends on who's elected.
Well, I do too. But let's have that discussion for that.
Fair enough. Speaking of which, somebody sent me an article. A friend of mine sent me an article just before the show this morning from CNN Politics, and I had heard something about this, and this is on the national level, but it kind of goes along with what we're talking about here with divisions within the party. House Speaker Mike Johnson is in this article, and basically the headline is many Republicans plan to skip the House GOP retreat, which is going to be at the Greenbrier, I understand, because they're grumbling about the location and they don't want to spend time with each other. It's like an old married couple. We've been married for 50 years, and the last thing I want to do is spend time with you and driving across country.
I don't like that part of it, man. I talk about this a lot. When I started out, back when Rob Cornelius and I first met, 22 years ago, I knew Democrats, right? There were people that you could talk. I mean, you might not have gone and had lunch together, but if you saw them out, you had conversations, you were talking. Heck, there were people that were really involved in Democrat politics back then that now have other jobs that I'm friendly with. You know what I mean? But the tone is different, though, man. The tone is different now. I mean, even among people, just as you brought out, just among people in their own party. I don't know, man. I don't understand the going and just not being able to get along with somebody enough to have a conversation. I mean, heck, man, you know who I'm buddies with? Mike Wolfel, probably about to be the only Democrat senator left. And he's a nice guy. We don't agree on a whole lot, but we get along. So that's what I'm saying. I don't like that aspect of it. And I may say things on here that, this is a show. I don't know if you know or not, but this is like an entertainment.
Wait a minute. News. This is on the air?
Yeah. So it's
I thought we were just talking.
It's like a news and entertainment show. So you got to say some things, and I know you're going to have callers, and it's fun and it's whatever. But if somebody's actually here and you can have a conversation with somebody. So I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't like the fact that you said earlier, oh gosh, Roger's talking to Democrats. Well, whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, I had a text about that. This is Speaker Hanshaw did far more than talk to the other party. He actively conspired with them.
I mean,
I wasn't in the conversation, so I can't.
I don't have any evidence of that. I mean, I guess I'd have to see what they're talking about, but I think that's. I think Hanshaw does. That's a hard job. I mean, I think Hanshaw's Hanshaw's a really good guy. He's a really smart guy. I can imagine. And that's a really, really hard job. Much harder than being the Senate president.
Let me do this text. We'll go to break. That says the West Virginia workforce participation rate in June of 2015 was 54.5. It's 54.7 as of January 2024. Why have Republicans been ineffective in increasing the participation rate? And don't blame the federal government without also hold on. Don't blame the federal government without also talking about the Republican president and Republican Congress.
It's the federal government. I mean, it's the federal government.
Texture said don't do that.
They said that, though, because they know that's the reason. I mean, it'd be like, having an argument with somebody and taking out their best argument and saying, well, you're not allowed to say the thing that it actually is. It is that the federal government makes it to where people don't have to go to work. That's why there's a low participation rate. And to be honest with you, in West Virginia, it had been, super low forever. We'd had the lowest workforce participation rate in the country. They started taking that in February of 1976, and we had it every year that the Democrats were in control. Every single
And this is able-bodied people. This is not 80-year-olds or whatever. This is able-bodied people.
Look, the federal government makes it to where people don't have to go to work, and unfortunately for West Virginia, it's a bit of a cultural thing at this point.
20 minutes away from 10, the impact of Special Olympics extends far beyond the athletes themselves. Volunteers and supporters touched by the unwavering determination of these extraordinary individuals find immeasurable fulfillment in their involvement. This inclusive approach, embraced by Special Olympics, fosters an environment where everyone plays a vital role. West Virginia, enriched in collaboration with Huntington, invites you to witness the transformative power of Special Olympics. See a video highlighting the Special Olympics at facebook.com/580WCHS. 9:41. We are going to take a break. We're back with more with Greg Thomas after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses live to make life better for you and your family.
Hello, I'm Teresa Howell, your Republican candidate for the House of Delegates to represent the Upper Kanawha Valley. We can work together to make a difference. I am your choice for faith, family, and freedom. I will work to defend our way of life and put West Virginia first. I have advocated for tax cuts, control government spending, and many other pro-growth policies. I appreciate your vote. Vote Teresa Howell for liberty, self-reliance, and prosperity. Vote Teresa Howell for a common-sense conservative. Vote Teresa Howell for America First.
Paid for by Teresa Howell for West Virginia.
If there's not a Par Mar store near you now, there will be soon. You hear us say that a lot, but it's true. Wherever you may go, chances are you'll find a Par Mar store there, offering everything you need to get you in and then back on the road as soon as possible. From gas to groceries and snacks and items for your house, we have it at Par Mar stores. Download the app and sign up for the Par Mar Rewards Card too. West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. If there's not a Par Mar store near you now, there will be soon.
Imagine your team always looking and feeling their best in high-performance technical workwear. Cintas can make it happen. They have garments for almost every job imaginable. And with the Cintas Workwear program, you get freshly laundered garments delivered every week for everyone on your team. Great garments without the bother of laundry. That's a real perk for employees. Find out how Cintas can boost team image and morale. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
17 minutes away from 10. If you want another way to enjoy your favorite Metro News programs like Talk Line, Sports Line, Three Guys Before the Game, and more, now instead of just listening, you can watch the Voice of West Virginia. Check out the new WV Metro News TV app. Simply download it to your favorite device from Apple TV, iOS, Android, Roku, Amazon, and more. Download the Metro News TV app to enjoy all your favorite Metro News personalities from Tony Caridi to Hoppy Kercheval and more. Metro News for your ears and now your eyes. Learn more at WVMetroNews.com. Phone calls to the Dave Allen Show, a service of Biggly Piggly Wiggly. Texting services provided by Fruth Pharmacy. Greg Thomas is here. I want to talk about the primary election a little bit, as you and I have talked in the past. A lot of elections in this state, Greg, will be decided in May. Rather than in November in the general, just as it was a lot of times when the Democrats ruled for the past 80 years. What are you looking at as far as some of these primary elections go? And we'll get into the let's talk local at this point. We'll talk about governor and senator and everything else later. Let's talk about local.
Well, local, one that really hasn't gotten too hot yet, but I think it eventually will, is going to be this county commission seat here. You actually have a Republican primary and a Democratic primary. Natalie Tennant is up against longtime serving Commissioner Kent Carper. And, you know, I don't talk to a lot of Democrats during the, you know what I mean? I do. I know Democrats, but it's like I don't talk to a lot. I don't really know sort of what they're up to. I think it's sort of, they're obviously not unified behind Carper. You wouldn't have a big name person running against him, right? So I don't really know, what's going on there. I think it'll be interesting to see who doesn't come out and support Carper. You know what I mean? Like last time I'm sure he ran, or last time Salango ran, or whatever, they all kind of got unified behind one or the other. That didn't happen this time. So I think it'll be interesting to see who doesn't help Kent, whether they publicly oppose him or not, I doubt. But, the very fact that they're not helping him will probably be an indicator of where they really were on the race. On the Republican side, you got Dwayne Duncan versus Chris Walters. I know both these guys personally. It looks like Dwayne's kind of come out of the gate early and pretty strong. He's running radio ads. He's, I got a mail piece already. I haven't seen as much from Chris. So we'll, and Chris had, Chris has won some and lost some. And so we'll kind of see how that race goes. The prosecutor race, is just on the Republican side. You got Morgan Switzer versus Deb Rusnick. Switzer's running more of a grassroots campaign. She's the conservative in the race, sort of the Republican choice. Rusnick is already in the prosecutor's office. Sort of new to politics, at least elective politics, but she's the one getting support from Salango, which has turned a lot of Republicans off. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, why is a Democrat, county commissioner getting involved in the Republican primary side? And so, but Salango's raised a bunch of money for her. So, I think she's going to have more resources. But Switzer's sort of the conservative in that race. Let's see, you got a state Senate race between Eric Nelson and Chris Pritt. Chris Pritt, who's in the House of Delegates. Nelson had been a delegate for a long time. He's been in the Senate for a little while now. And Nelson, look, Pritt is a very hardworking candidate, but Nelson's a good campaigner. Nelson puts pretty good campaigns together. He raises decent money. He's got a pretty good voting record in the Senate. I think he's going to be tough to beat there, but Pritt will work hard, no doubt. And then actually Pritt's wife, Kelly Pritt, this is probably the only family law one that's going to be competitive, is his wife, Kelly Pritt, is running against the Laura Van Meter. And so that's one of those ones that's just a Republican versus Democrat race, you know what I mean? And not that family law judge gets all that, a ton of attention.
Right.
But I think that
But it is interesting because whenever I have one of these candidates on and it's nonpartisan, it's non-political or whatever, I always get a text if I don't ask what's their party. Everybody wants to know what their party is. Whether it's on the ballot or not, they want to know.
I'll use that as a segue into the circuit court race because, there's 8 circuit court seats now in Kanawha County. Obviously, one of them I'm very involved in, the Ashley Dean versus Jennifer Bailey one. Where Ashley's the, young conservative Republican and Bailey's sort of the older, longtime Democrat, liberal judge. And so that's one that's officially nonpartisan, but obviously it's, I think it'll be pretty kind of a clear choice type thing. And that's one that, look, I don't know how much I'm supposed to get into it because there's all these like rules and stuff, but, look, 9 times out of 10, the best candidate running the best campaign with the best political environment wins. And so that's kind of what you have to look at with races like that. And then the other one is that the open seat is Richard Lindsay, who was a Democrat state senator. So this is an open seat. And then the that's the nonpartisan one. But Republican candidate in that race is a guy named Eric Cantrell, who works in the prosecutor's office. He's up from like Elkview. That's one that, look, Lindsay's a liberal guy, but he's a nice guy. He's raised okay money. Cantrell kind of got a late start. I think if Cantrell can put some money together and let people know that he's sort of the conservative Republican choice in that race, that could be competitive. But it's not like Lindsay's a, kind of a repulsive liberal guy. You know what I mean? He's just, he's a nice guy. He's a liberal Democrat, and then, a couple of the delegate races I think will be competitive too. We got some really good delegate candidates on the Republican side. J.B. Akers doesn't have an opponent, but then you got Tristan Levitt, who I know comes on the show every once in a while. He's a really strong candidate. And then Mark Carter, who is a longtime friend of mine and really, really strong candidate that is going to become an excellent, excellent delegate. And then the other one, I'll just say because you had her on the show earlier, is Casey Sachs is running for school board here in Kanawha County.
President of Bridge Valley. She's done a great job of separating the two. I mean, she's not talked about her campaign. Yeah. She's not come on as a candidate. She wants to talk about Bridge Valley when she's on.
Kanawha County is very, very fortunate to have somebody of her caliber running for school board. With that kind of background, she was appointed. She was appointed on the, and she actually worked in the Trump administration and the Department of Education. She's done a great job with Bridge Valley. I think she's an absolute superstar candidate. And so I think that's a lot of stuff for. There's a couple Democrat races in there, but that's a lot of reasons for Republicans to come out and vote. And so I think you're going to have I don't want to say huge. You're going to have better than usual turnout in the Republican primary, which is going to help the Republican candidates in those nonpartisan races. Obviously I wish Trump would have been, I wish we would have got to, had a competitive presidential, which, I guess Trump got
it's over.
Yeah, it's over now. You know. So, but look, there's still just going to be a ton of people that want to come vote for him, man. I mean, they love him, dude. They love him.
We'll go to break on this. I have the TV on here as I normally do in the control room, and earlier they said that Robert Kennedy Jr. That his possible vice presidential running mate, Aaron Rodgers, and Jesse the Body Ventura, former governor of Minnesota.
Well, if you're running third party, you got to do something to get attention, I guess.
So that's where we are. We got to take a break. The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Live Healthy West Virginia, presented by WVU Medicine. Live Healthy West Virginia tackles pressing health issues like heart disease and more. It's a podcast offering insights into medical breakthroughs and preventative care, featuring WVU Medicine's expert physicians, aimed at fostering healthier lifestyles and beyond in West Virginia. It's a valuable resource for all. Discover the latest episodes on WVMetronews.com under the podcast menu and start your journey towards better health today. Back after this on the Voice of Charleston, WCHS.
Brought to you by the Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses. Eric J. Tarr Family Businesses want to thank you for supporting local small businesses.
Judges have been in power. All while we're losing jobs, criminals go free, and the drug problem gets worse. It's time for a fresh face in the courthouse.
I'm Ashley Deem, a lifelong Republican running in the nonpartisan race for Kanawha County Circuit Judge. Born and raised in Kanawha County, I understand the challenges our families face.
Ashley Deem is a conservative who will be tough on crime and apply the law fairly. Vote for Ashley Deem for Circuit Judge. Paid for by the committee to elect Ashley Deem for judge.
Bigley Piggly Wiggly on Spring Street has served 3 generations of shoppers since 1955 as the largest locally owned independent grocery store in the area. The Joseph family owners grew up here, so you know they're invested in the community. They provide the biggest variety of choice meats, the freshest produce, an in-house deli bakery, great wine selection, and more of your favorite brands. Every purchase gives you gasoline points so you can save at our pumps. Order online for pickup at BigleyPigglyWiggly.com. Bigley Piggly Wiggly on Spring Street. No one beats the pig.
Let's talk about your business phone system. It's old and needs updated, but you probably think, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There are many benefits to a new phone system from Comax Business Systems. The sound is much clearer. Everyone in your office can have a dedicated line that will remote call forward from their cell phones, and your voicemail will actually work. Comax's digital phone systems are competitively priced and efficient. Call Comax Business Systems for a free quote today. Comax Business Systems. We've kept West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years.
Career politicians in Charleston and Washington are taxing our families too much. Let's vote for a Republican that will fight for us. Republican Dwayne Duncan, running for Kanawha County Commission, wants to cut taxes for all our families. Dwayne Duncan wants more jobs, lower taxes, and safer communities. Dwayne Duncan is a job creator and believes you should keep more of your hard-earned money. Let's vote for lower taxes and more jobs. Let's vote for Republican Dwayne Duncan for Kanawha County Commission.
Paid for by Dwayne Duncan for County Commission. Tori DeCubo, Treasurer.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, presented in part by Brightway Insurance, the Mays agency of Tays Valley, locally owned and operated by an Air Force veteran and a former teacher. When it comes to insurance, they have everything you've been looking for. Brightway offers expertise from real local agents, not a 1-800 number. Call them locally, 304-814-2509. Call John or Sherry Mays today at Brightway, the Mays agency of Tays Valley. Text says, Dave, dear Lord, Natalie Tennant versus Kent Carper, 2 stinkers. I think I've seen this episode of South Park. I just read them.
I haven't heard almost anything on that race. And again, I'm not a Democrat. I don't vote in the Democratic primary, so I don't have a lot of skin in the game on it. But I just haven't heard anything on it, to me, that's sort of telling though, because you have this long-term incumbent running and you have it, there aren't a lot of people going out there and saying much about it. So, so we'll see. I mean, I have no idea.
Tex says it's no wonder they can't pass legislation if they all hate each other, according to a texter from earlier in the show. Tex says, Dave, we need to thank Biden for all these jobs coming to our state, green jobs Republicans didn't want.
That's somewhat true. I mean, I think it's probably more of a wash, given that some of the, the harm that they do, the harm that the Biden administration has done to the real energy industry. So they have brought in some green jobs, but it pales in comparison to the amount of, other actual energy jobs we have in West Virginia.
The Dave Allen Show on 580 Live, brought to you part by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. If you're injured, visit forthepeople.com. Let's quickly talk about the governor's race. It's starting to ramp up with the TV ads. I saw the Miller ad. I've seen Morrissey ads, Capito ads, not so much Mac Warner yet. I'm told that they're coming. It's guns, it's flannel, it's yay Trump, boo Biden. I mean,
here's what I think. I think that I've heard that it's a very competitive race between Morrissey, Miller, and Capito, and which wouldn't surprise me. I think the reason that you're hearing all of that stuff first, because it is early. I mean, we're 60 days away from the election. Yeah. The average person, your listeners care about this stuff, or they wouldn't be listening to sort of this kind of show. But the average person isn't sort of ready for that yet. And so, your listeners have to remember you're on the front end of sort of the focus of a campaign. But I think what you do early on in the campaign is, you sort of go out there and you talk about the issues that are everybody else talks about, right? You what you want to do. If I'm Chris Miller, I want to go out there and say, here's where I'm at on guns. Here's where I'm at on abortion. Here's where I'm at on that stuff, because those are the issues that most Republicans care about. So they want to know you're at least with them on that level. Once you establish that level, though, right? Are you for Trump? Are you for this? Are you for guns? Are you for babies? Whatever. Then there's sort of the next level of like, all right, what about some of the other issues? And eventually you'll get to, what are you going to do as governor, right? But that's the last piece to it. So I think that, and I do other talk radio shows, as you know, and I think that people, like you listeners, are ready for part 3 already.
Yeah.
But the average voter watching television is still at part 1, maybe ready for part 2.
Greg, they're all interchangeable, with all due respect to all of them, and I consider myself to be friends with all of them. Okay. Most of them. All right. So here's the deal. I mean, they are all saying exactly the same thing as you said.
But it's different. But they're saying it in different. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I know them too. Yeah. But you can tell in different ways, right? I mean, like Morrissey's saying the same stuff because he always says the same stuff, right? Like Morrissey goes and kind of talks about the issue of the day, hits 2 or 3 highlights, and that's what he does. More Capito goes back to like, hey, here's what I did in the legislature. Here's the kind of things I work on. We all know mom's a U.S. senator, so we know kind of where her political background is. And I think he's kind of coming from this like, hey, we sort of know where he's coming from. And, look, and Chris Miller, is the new to politics guy. Obviously he has his own money and he's pushing for it. But I mean, his TV ads, man, have been awesome. Yeah. I mean, really, really good.
Well, he's got a little experience in that realm.
I think he's connecting with voters in a way that the other guys can't on television.
He's just got to get that name recognition outside Charleston, though. That's the problem. Greg, it's always a pleasure to have you in the show, man. Thanks a lot.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Greg Thomas, Republican strategist. Coming up on the show tomorrow, the mayor of Bell, Dave Fletcher, is going to stop by. They have a candidates forum going on up in that area, and we're going to get into that, talking with Mayor Fletcher coming up on the show tomorrow. Also, Delegate J.B. Akers will be on the show tomorrow as well. Boys State Basketball Tournament in Charleston. Follow all the action, daytime games in Charleston's ESPN Radio, the evening sessions on the WCHS network. Always available to WVMetroNews.com. See you tomorrow. Till then, have fun and love somebody.
WCHS-AM, W243DRFM Charleston, and W283AQ Cross Lanes, a WVRC media station. We're proud to live here, too.